How's it going, you guys? I'm here to bring you Walking Dead Season 5, Episode 5 review entitled Self-Help. Now, this was a very, very good episode, I have to say, but it kind of started off slow, and I kind of, I didn't really know what was going on, so to speak, and the reason why I said that is because I'm going to explain it in a couple of seconds here. Abraham. This was heavily focused on Abraham, his backstory, his characterization, how he became who he is today, and why he is the character who he is today. A lot of people view Abraham as this cold-hearted being with no self-regard for a human life or anything in general, and he's only for his self-interest. Now, in The Walking Dead, you have a couple of characters like this that are kind of similar to Abraham in terms of the thought process and stuff like that. They only want to help themselves and focus on themselves. But Abraham, the thing about him is that he went through a rough life, rough experience within this series, and it shows. And I'm going to kind of get into some spoilers here, so if you don't want to watch it, that's okay. Abraham lost his son, his daughter, and his wife. Lost them, and it shows that towards the end of the episode. And that was something that was shocking to me because I thought someone like Abraham would protect him, and he did protect him to an extent, but they wanted to go off and leave him because I guess they were scared of how he took care of one of those zombies, and he left because of that, or they left because of that. Found him and they were pretty much dead. So they kind of left, but I'm kind of getting sidetracked here. What this episode is it's about them going to Washington D.C. Abraham, Glenn, Maggie, and a couple of other people. They're going to Washington D.C., trying to get to Washington D.C. to get more information because Eugene is a doctor, and he knows how to supposedly cure everybody from this virus or this epidemic, this zombie or apocalypse epidemic. And so he takes them there, and well, they don't get there quite yet. They're almost there, but and they get sidetracked. The bus that they're on pretty much flips over and catches fire, and that bus is pretty much destroyed. They have to go find shelter in this like abandoned library, so to speak. And they stay there. They kind of try to plan to see what they're going to do next, and they actually find a firefighter truck, I guess you would call it, and they use this to go. They're trying to go into another town. And the team is kind of apprehensive about it. They don't want to go into the town because they're scared that the zombies could pretty much take them down. They're fearful for their own life and everyone else's. And this was the shocker here in this episode. Eugene admits that he is not a doctor. Now, I suspected this from the very beginning. I said, this guy is a little too silent, too reserved. And usually people who are, not everyone who's silent and reserved, but if you're in a group like this and you're very quiet, there's something wrong. If you don't talk a lot, there is something wrong. Everybody within The Walking Dead, all the main characters who I know and love, they talk a lot. And even if they're kind of somewhat laid back, they still talk when need be. This guy was quiet the whole time, so I kind of expected in the back of my mind that this guy isn't who he's portraying himself to be. And indeed, in this episode, he came out and said that he's not only a doctor, he doesn't even know about anything, how to heal anyone. Now, but what he did say, which you don't say this after you say that you're not a doctor. He discredits himself. He says he's not a doctor, but then he tries to redeem himself by saying, I'm smarter than all of you guys. Abraham, he was like, what? He just hit him with the two-piece, knocked him out, and that was pretty much it. And see, that's the thing. He deserved everything that he got because just like Eugene said, he remembers everyone who risked their lives. Even Abraham. Abraham, the reason why he left Rick's group was because he thought that Eugene had the answers for what, in order to go to Washington, D.C. And he didn't. He did not only have the answers, he was lying about everything. And when you have a person who lies, you can't trust them again. Especially in a situation like this, a zombie apocalypse. You cannot trust those guys again. So I don't know, because the way that Abraham fell, he fell on his face. I don't know if he's dead. Hopefully he's not. But if he is, then, hey, whatever the case may be, that's cool. And in the flashback, towards the end of the episode, it shows you just what he did and how he manipulated Abraham into taking him along his mission and risking his not only his life but everyone else who he came in contact with to go to Washington D.C. So this episode, like I said, started off very slow for me, but I felt like towards the middle and especially of course towards the middle, it definitely picked up. So I really enjoyed it. If I had to give it a rating, I would definitely give it an 8 out of 10 because I don't feel like this is a good closure to this episode towards this series, just like last week's episode. And by the way, I'm sorry, you guys, about not putting out last week's episode. I was busy, had some other stuff to attend to, but I really enjoyed last week's episode. I definitely feel like last week's episode was better than this week's episode, even though some of the people who I talked to in Facebook groups and in real life or whatever, they said that this week's episode is better than last week's. But anyway, that's my review here for The Walking Dead Season 5, Episode 5 review entitled Self-Help. So with that being said, guys, I will check you guys later in another video. Peace, sayonara, and stay cool.